have a decent amount of people on. So today's going to go over some more quick reminders, much like the DD call that we had last week, then some case studies. Then we're also going to have Ashley Roy on to talk about her own case study with Ashley Home Furniture. We also shared that on Facebook a while back, so I think it'd be a good opportunity for her to get a little bit more in-depth about it. Ellen, you want to take it away?
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Carolyn from Bridge. Thanks, Tiffany. I'm going to just cover just a few quick reminders for all of you guys and then just talk about case studies a little bit, which I think is the perfect segue to then introduce Ashley Roy, who is she's an account executive from Bridgeport, Connecticut. She's also the DDE in that market, and she just closed an amazing sale with Ashley Home Furniture, which I think is a really relevant client in a lot of the markets. Every client has furniture store, or every market has furniture stores, and Ashley Home Store is a huge chain. So this is definitely something to pay attention to. Her presentation is amazing. So she's going to take you through basically the entire deck that she used when she had her meeting with the decision maker, and she's also going to talk a little bit about basically the sales process, how she got in contact with the decision maker, how she brought up digital in the first place, how she pitched it as something that make the radio campaign stronger. I love that she did that, so I think that's going to be really interesting for all of you to hear. So just to jump in, I want to remind all of you about our Cumulus portal that we created. I know we talked about it towards the beginning of the year. We have made a few additional changes to it just to make it a little bit more user-friendly, and we've added more content to it, so you'll find more case studies. We've added training videos and training decks from just like this one. You can also go there to get the insertion order forms. A lot of you have expressed feedback that really want those to be available right in the portal, so we've added those. But I really just want to encourage all of you to using it more frequently and just get in the habit of going there anytime you need things like a proposal request, an discount, if you are submitting creative and you'd like us to design either email or the banner ads for a campaign that you've closed. I'd like to request have me on a phone call with you to do either a screen share or just do a conference call with you and your client. Please try to remember to use the portal for all of those things. And the reason why it's important to do all that through the portal is because that's going to get the fastest turnaround. And I know how important it is to campaigns launched as quickly as possible and to make sure that we're getting back to you with the things that you need so you can sell things to your client. And the way to do that is to put requests through the portal. When you use the portal, the requests are immediately going to go to the right person. If you email me or email Chris or Melissa, and then we have to forward those emails to the person who can actually get you what you need, that adds time to the process. But if you submit it through the portal, it's going to immediately go directly to the right person for the job or for that specific request, and that person will be able to reply faster than anybody else. The thing about the portal is that for anything that you can request, we have a form that you fill out. And I'm with you, I hate filling out forms as well, so maybe that's a reason why people avoid it. But the form is important to us because they ask all of the questions that we need answers to before we can execute what you're asking us for. So if you need the creative work done, or if you need a proposal or an audience count, anything like that, fill out the form. That way we won't have to be going back and forth asking 100 questions to know that we're doing it exactly how you need it done. If you could, please just try to remember to use the portal, again, for proposal requests, for creative, for screen share or conference call meeting requests. If you need an audience count or even a revised audience count, if you are submitting insertion orders, if you need to download blank insertion orders to fill out, training videos and case studies, all that is accessible through the portal. So we really just want to encourage all of you to keep in mind. Another I want to go through is the insertion order itself. So I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on how to fill out the goal-based marketing auto. And it seems like sometimes there's a little bit of confusion on the very first section of the insertion order, particularly with two parts. And the first part is the second line, which says campaign name. This is actually an important one to fill out. What you put in this row is what's going to appear on your invoice that we send to your market. So we're getting a lot of emails from your accounting department asking what the invoices they're receiving go to. They can't match it to a certain campaign. So it's really important to make sure that you give each campaign a specific campaign name on the IO, so that when we invoice you, it'll make sense. And what I always recommend doing is put the name of the client and then date it. So Ashley Home Furniture March 2018, or, you know, Sprint March 15, 2018. Like, do something so that you'll know and you'll be able to recognize which campaign each invoice refers to. The other part of this that people seem to have trouble with is the line under email details that asks for the number of emails we are deploying from the count. So what I'm asking you is how many deployments we are doing. So you just write number 1 or number 2 to tell us we're just doing 1 deployment this month or 2 deployments. That's not what we're asking for. We're actually asking for how many emails in each deployment are we sending? How many people's email addresses are we sending your email to? So if you get your count back and your count is, you know, 60,000 people, but your client can only afford to email 45,000 of them, you should put 45,000 in that row. For how many people's email addresses are we sending these emails to? So we have the email campaign. If there's any confusion on that, please let us know, because the last thing we want to do is get that wrong. We don't want you to assume we're sending out, you know, 50,000 emails, but you put a number 1 in there and we have no idea what the quantity is. So please just reach out to me if there's any question around that. The reminder I have is the creative policy. So I do just want to reiterate that the fee that we charge for creative work will include 4 rounds of proof, which means we will send you a proof and then send it to your client, and your client can make changes or ask for any revisions back to us. We'll do proof number 2, the process happens. We'll do number 3, number 4, but after proof 4, we are going to start charging an additional fee, anything after a 4th proof. And lately, it seems like we've been getting a lot of revision requests over and over and over again for one single creative before we go live. And I just want to remind you all that if we exceed 4 proofs, there's a $75 charge for every single proof after that. In my opinion, there's no reason why we should have to go past 4 proofs. So I really want to encourage all of you to share with your client how many proofs they get. And I would even suggest tell your client they get 3, because it gives you 1 as a buffer. Tell your client they get 3 rounds of proof. So make sure when your client talks about changes they want, ask them if these are all the changes. We don't want to keep going back and forth saying, okay, make this text blue, now swap this image, now change this wording, now I decided to change my offer, now I want this to be rearranged and put at the top of the email. We can't keep doing that back and forth because it ultimately just delays the launch and it could throw off your campaign. And that's why we're really trying hard to encourage all of you to keep to 4 or less revisions. But I do want to make you aware that there is a charge if you go over 4. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to chat about before I introduce you all to Ashley is case studies. So
I personally have a love-hate relationship with case studies. I think they're extremely valuable and helpful for obvious reasons if you communicate them to your client the right way. And I think some AEs do a fantastic job sharing case studies with clients and explaining them in a way where they are very helpful to your sale. Some AEs, I think, use them almost as a comfort blanket in their sales pitch, and they to show a case study to a client and then promise that they will get equal better results. And that's the part where we can get into some trouble, because we're immediately setting an expectation with the client that they're going to get exactly the either equal or better results. And the reality is there are so many factors that go into what's going to make or break a campaign. And what worked for one client, not necessarily going to work for another client. Even if we have the exact same number of emails and the same number of multi-channel impressions, that's not the only thing that's going to make a difference. Even if we target the exact same type of audience, that's not the only thing that's going to make or break a campaign. There's so much involved in whether a campaign is going to perform well. So we just need to keep in mind when presenting a case study to a client, make sure that they understand you're telling it to them. Just to give an example, this is an example of what a creative could look like. This is an example of how you could target your audience. This is an example of an offer from a client who's very similar to you, and this offer worked very well. Or this is an example how it could work for you, but please try not to just show them the case study and say, this has happened to your business, especially if your client is expecting it to happen immediately, because again, a lot of these campaigns take time. There's a ramp-up period. So showing a client a case study from results that took us 3 or 4 months to get to the results, and your client now is going to expose after 2 weeks, now we're behind. So please just keep that in mind. And just remind you on this slide, these are just some of the things with how you build a campaign and then whether or not that campaign works. And I also like to point out these things whenever I get asked, the magic ratio. How many multi-channel ads should we serve with X number of emails? How do I know how many ads to serve? Unfortunately, I wish it was a simple answer, but I'm also proud of the fact that it's not a simple answer. Every campaign we do is custom built for every single advertiser. And these are all the things that we keep in mind. What is the offer? What's their budget? How many ads can they afford? What is creative going to look like? What types of advertising is this client doing? If it's a client in one market who's doing TV and radio and print in addition to the digital, that campaign is probably going to perform a lot better than the same type of client in another market who's only digital. Or there's one client who has been doing digital for the last 5 years. So they've already got a lot of momentum, and the community is already aware of this brand and this company. But in their market, if they're just getting started and it's their first ever digital campaign, that's going to require a lot longer ramp up. So other types of advertising and how long they've been advertising, that all makes a difference. The channels we decide to use. If one can afford video ads, that's going to work a lot different than a client who can only afford mobile ads. Whose audience we're targeting? If we're targeting millennials and serving them one mix of ads, and then that same mix of ads and serve it to people over the age of 65, those campaigns are going to perform very differently. So again, you got to keep the audience in mind as well. Not only who we're targeting, but how big the audience group is that we're targeting. For example, if we're targeting 100,000 people in Los Angeles for a campaign, but the client can only afford 200,000 ads, each one's only going to see the ad twice. That's very high frequency. But if we do a campaign in New London, Connecticut, and the audience is only 2,000 people, same order of 200,000 ads is going to now allow all of those people in the audience to see the ad 10 times each. So that's going to perform a lot differently if you can see 10 ads versus only 2. All of these things need to be kept in mind, and these are all things that we're here to help you with. These are things that I always look at, and I do this research with every single proposal I create for you, and I try to keep your budget in mind, but I also try to give you the right mix that we think will work the best based on the audience, the channels, the offer, the type of client, how much competition is in that market, what the frequency is going to be, what the length of the campaign is going to be, the time of the year. Believe it or not, weather plays into it, the economy. It could be things that are happening around the news. So much involved. So please, I know I'm on it right now, but please just keep this in mind, because I when I see AE present a case study and all of a sudden that client thinks that they are immediately going to get those same exact results. We're just putting ourselves into a corner if that happens. So to avoid that and try to present the case studies, just an example, as something that's going to help the wheels start turning so that we can brainstorm great ideas for your particular client. All being said, Ashley is somebody who always does a fantastic job in Bridgeport, Connecticut. She's a great presenter. She does a great job when she uses case studies. She's really good at identifying opportunities. And I think one of her biggest strengths is that she's able to pitch digital as a tie-in to the radio. She does a fantastic job making it truly, one supports the other, and they work better together. And I think that's the whole point of the partnership between Bridge and Cumulus. So Ashley, I will open the call to you so you can go through how you presented to Ashley Home Store.
Thanks. Hey, everyone. So I want to start and just set the stage a little bit. So Ashley Home Store has a few locations in our radio coverage area. The way I found them is they were opening up a new location in our market, and it was a great opportunity to reach out to see if they had any local dollars to do grand opening advertising. And I called the local stores quite a few times trying to find the right decision maker. Give a name. I walked in a few times, and then I found email. I emailed him. And finally, with some persistence, I was granted an appointment with the general manager of the stores in our Southern Connecticut market here. So there's 3 locations in our coverage area. So I met with the general manager, and come to find out, Furniture Home Stores are locally franchised, and the same owner owned the Norwalk and Brookfield locations here in Connecticut. So I presented first to the general manager. He was really impressed with what we were able to offer on the first call in terms of, having a multi-platform campaign with radio, digital, and some other event elements. So I met with him, and then I met with him again for the call, which is this proposal I'm going to share with you. He was really impressed with the pricing of everything, everything that we were able to offer them. And then finally, myself and my manager, Marnie, met with the owner of the franchise in our area, and that's when we were able to close the sale for radio and digital. So I'm going to go through the deck with you guys, and then I'll answer questions at the end. Really like to start with our clients is that, Just Media, we're here, we can offer you a comprehensive marketing solution, with radio, digital, and events to put together a great campaign that's going to get results. And what we do is talk about the 8 characteristics of the best performing local advertising campaigns. So this is part of our base buy and why, so I tie that in with my first call and my second call. So shows there are 8 characteristics of the best performing local advertising campaigns: reaching your potential customers, influencing them close to the point of purchase, providing local consumer interactions, creating emotional connections, building trust and credibility, providing unskippable engagement, being cost-effective, and delivering affordable ads quickly. So all local media does some of these, and radio is the one medium that delivers on all 8 to get you the best results for your marketing campaign. You can go to the next slide. And that radio consistently delivers the highest return on investment for local media, but we also know that adding additional platforms to your base buy will further increase your return on investment. So you can see here digital is the second highest return on investment for your dollar when it comes to local marketing. So that is why I put together a comprehensive campaign that includes both radio and digital. Then I go into our local station information. So, you know, I talked to Ashley Furniture as to why WB108 was such a great fit for them. So we're an adult contemporary radio station reaching homeowners in the market, you know, that are 25 and older, and we're going to really reach your consumer. The manager for Ashley Furniture let me know that their target consumer was about 21 to 64 years of age, so it really had a wide range, and I, you know, let him know that our stations as well are the #1 listened to station in businesses, and because we're so family friendly that we have a wide range of listeners that transcend a lot of different demographic ages. So then I showed our coverage map and where their locations were in our market versus our coverage. So, you know, we determined that their Orange, Norwalk, and Brookfield stores would all benefit from utilizing WB108 because we cover their area with 350,000 weekly listeners. Then I heard our current Nielsen ratings. We're the top FM station in the market and AM station as well in WICC, and I pulled the rankers within the demographic that he had shared with me to just show them, you know, we are the strength and we have the consumers that they want to reach. Of this is 2164. And then based on our CNA, I put together the objectives for Ashley Home Store. So they really wanted to drive more traffic to their Orange and Norwalk locations. Orange was a big thing for them. They really wanted more traffic. He let me know that they measure the traffic, have door counters at each of the stores. So basically, when he's utilizing our campaigns, he was going to see the increase in the traffic. That's how he would measure the success of the campaign. And then wanted to reach women 22 to 55 years old to make the decision on furniture buying in the home. So on my Ask meeting, I had sample commercials I shared with them, so I played all the audio for him. He was very impressed that I thought ahead for President's Day and went ahead and put an offer in the on-air commercials and what they were going to be promoting. And also shared a promo for potential added value for them. So those are the commercials I shared. This is so I shared the commercials, and then I shared the radio campaign. So we did 30 commercials per week for 3 weeks per month. So it came out to $64.35 per month. You know, really showed them how they're reaching people during drive time as well as on the weekends when they're out making those buying decisions. And then I went into the digital. So this is going to be, you know, your radio-based buy campaign. We're going to reach people on the go, direct them right into your store. And to further target your consumer, we are going to add digital as an additional platform, because research shows that advertising across multiple platforms further increases your ROI. So having radio as your base buy and then adding digital as another platform will increase your ROI by 19%. And I went into our bridge deck. So what it's about is how important for them to have the mass reach of the radio, being able to reach people when they're on the go, when they're out doing their errands on a Saturday, or during the week, during the night, on the nighttime, and how they want to direct people right into their stores. And then I said another way we can further target is to utilize our huge database of emails and get people, those 22 to 55-year-olds that are right around your stores. I also talked to them about how we can geofence their competitors, which they were super excited about. So I said, as people are walking into your competitor stores, we can serve them up ads and direct them into your store, with the better offer that you give them. They're really intrigued by that. Then into why our digital solutions were better than other companies. So he let me know that nationally they do digital, Ashley Furniture does on their own, but locally they have their own marketing dollars as well. So he really wanted to focus around Orange, Norwalk, and Brookfield locations. So I let him know how we would be able to do that. And I talked a lot about our data. I think it's so powerful to let our clients know we stand apart because our data is checked 3 ways: offline, online, and mobile. So our offline data comes from our partnerships with Axiom and Experian, with the first and last name, street address, demographic information, political records, in-store purchases, and then that our mobile data is a real game changer and sets us apart because we have these partnerships with mobile app companies. We're able to see what people's device ID is and link all of their devices to their email address. So we're able to serve a customized digital campaign to each person in their target consumer group. And then also online comes from our partnership with Nielsen, so that we know the people are relevant based on what they're doing online, what they're purchasing online, what they're looking at online, and that we data and make sure that it's very relevant before we send out any of their digital campaigns. So they were super impressed with that. I also talked about the next slide about deterministic data. So data is deterministic, whereas a lot of other digital companies use probabilistic data, and deterministic data is much more powerful, is that we make sure that the people, what they're doing online and their habits are very relevant within the last few weeks to the client. So we want to make sure we're targeting people that are looking for furniture. It's not something that they did 3 months ago. And it's also something that we check multiple ways, so we know that they didn't just happen to go to a furniture site one day. It's something that they've been doing on the internet multiple times, and that's how we determine that they are a good fit for their target consumer group. We're constantly tracking over 350 data points. So with Ashley Furniture, they really wanted to reach people that had a certain income level, that were homeowners, that were a certain age group, and also within a radius around their stores. So they love that they could target through all those different data points. And then people-based marketing is more effective than just sending standalone email because people are receiving your ads how they use their devices. So it's customized to each person in your target consumer group, which makes it such an effective advertising campaign. So as you can imagine, people listening to our radio stations, they're hearing your message, and then when they have time to check their email or to be on their, cell phone looking at Facebook or Instagram, they're also receiving your email, they're seeing your offer, and it leads them to act because you've had so many different touch points with them. Another thing that got them really excited is the matchback report. So we talked about how after each digital launch, we will be able to share with them the first names, last names, and physical addresses of all the people that we sent the emails to. They thought that was super helpful because they would be able to send, personal mailers to people within certain radius around their locations. So that was something that they found very valuable as well. So with each email launch, we're doing about 35,000 consumers. So every month they're going to have, 30,000 consumers that they can then reach out to, through a personal mailing or to measure the success of their radio and digital campaign again. So they were super excited about that. This is the actual recommendation that they purchased, was option 1. I worked with Carolyn and we gave them 3 different pricing options, but they loved all of the elements that option 1 them. So what we talked about the target audience, so I put that in there, is target around their store locations and also around their competitor locations, women who are 22 to 65 years old with household income of $65,000 or more. And each month we would deploy an email to 35,000 consumers who fit their target demographic, and then from there serve 150,000 multi-channel display ads to those same 35,000 people across desktop sites, mobile apps, Facebook, Instagram. And then we would also geofence their competitor furniture stores that are near their Orange, Norwalk, and Brookfield locations for 200,000 impressions per month. So they loved that they were able to, basically try and steal consumers that were going right into their competitor furniture stores and get them over to their store with their offers. And then with the reporting as well, they loved the email and multi-channel reporting, the social media reporting, and the matchback reporting that we're giving them as well, geofencing reporting. So that is what they purchased. There were 2 other options which I have in this proposal for you to see. The $4,000 per month one is the same as the first one. It just excludes the email per month, but what we explained and what the client agreed is that the email really allows the client to expand upon their offer and the benefits of buying furniture from them versus another furniture store. So it gave them the opportunity to, talk more about themselves, which they loved that in their offer. Then the last option was $2,500 per month, which was just the geofencing competitors for 300,000 impressions per month. But they loved, the multi-channel component as well, so that's why they went with the first option. And that is it. So basically what they signed for was the radio campaign plus the digital campaign. So each month they're reaching our 350,000 Weebly 108 listeners as well as their targeted consumer group with the digital campaign with email, channel ads, and geofencing. So really great success. I haven't gotten the social and display ad reporting back, but we got the email reporting back from February, and they had over about 9% opens for their email and 6% click-through rate, so that was really wonderful. So we're excited to look at their multi-channel click-throughs. But yeah, it's been successful so far.
I haven't gotten any questions so far. I don't know if you had anything to add on to that, Carolyn.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to applaud Ashley one more time. I think, Ashley, you did a great job. You did a great job identifying who the decision maker was early on in the process. So you found out who could make the decision to invest in Cumulus Bridgeport, and you really spent time understanding what you wanted to get out of the campaign. So I like that you, even in your proposal, when you went back a second time, you put aside about what the goals of the campaign were, and you knew exactly what the key performance indicator was and what we needed to make happen for him to view this as a successful campaign. I think that's so important to make sure we understand, because that's what helps us make sure that we put all the right elements in the campaign and we're tracking it the right way so that we can then whether or not what they wanted to see happen is in fact actually happening. So I love that you did that. I love that you made your own deck that really incorporates the radio and the digital, and you made it flow and you made it look like one big cohesive campaign that's going to play off each other, and the radio is going to support digital, and the digital is going to make the radio stronger. So I really like that you did that, and I like that you talked not only about the radio and the digital products, but you talked about the differentiator and why he should go with Cumulus versus all the other media groups that are available to him. And you did a really great job talking about, the difference of the data, the fact that we use deterministic data and not probabilistic data, and the fact that we can provide advanced reporting with the matchback and the proof of ROI. So I think this is it's a perfect pitch, and it's a perfect presentation to give to a client. Clearly it worked successfully because you closed them on the biggest option that we presented. And I just feel like this is a really great long-term, 12-month, well-rounded strategy that I can't go wrong, because you got that 12-month commitment, so we can constantly analyze what's happening month over month, week after week, and make changes along the way if there are any that we feel necessary. So I just want to say that you did a really great job, and you're not in one of the biggest markets, and this is not a huge advertiser, but still had a huge win, so it's a lot that even some of the smaller or the medium-sized markets can still get these huge success stories. So congrats on the sale, and if there are any questions,
Sure, just came in.
Yeah, let us know.
Someone asked about a radio buy associated with it, and they wanted to just know more details on the monthly spend. If you have any?
Client is investing about $6,400 in radio, and then the $4,500 in digital per month campaign. So radio, it was a 3-week per month radio schedule, so about $2,100 or $2,150, I think it was, per week. And basically their goals were to advertise everything around their sales. So, every month they have some sort of sale or offer going on, so that is what they've been advertising around. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. No other questions have come through, but I think that covers it. All right, I'm going to post this up afterward if you guys wanted to look through it again and see if you had any other questions. If you do, you can always email us directly, or on Facebook you can ask us. But this is, I really hope that it gives you some ideas when you're bringing your own proposals to clients, and if you want to pick her brain a little bit more, I'm sure Ashley would be open to talking to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.